Every year, marine phytoplankton absorb an estimated 50 gigatons of carbon dioxide. That accounts for roughly half of all the carbon fixed on Earth. When we think about drawing carbon out of the atmosphere, we usually picture planting trees, but terrestrial forests take decades to mature. They also require massive amounts of arable land and fresh water, resources that are already stretched incredibly thin by global agriculture. Marine microalgae offer a highly efficient biological alternative. They can be cultivated in simple seawater and grown in areas completely unsuitable for farming, all while achieving a photosynthetic efficiency up to 50 times higher than land plants. By the numbers, just 1 kilogram of cultivated algae biomass can remove approximately 1.83 kilograms of CO2 from the air. Shifting our focus from the soil to the ocean gives us a highly scalable, land-free engine capable of making a significant dent in global emissions. If algae is this effective at capturing carbon, it is worth asking why it hasn't already replaced our global fossil fuel economy. The problem lies in the industrial carbon ledger. Scaling algae production to a commercial level requires huge amounts of electricity, continuous water pumping, and a steady, concentrated supply of raw CO2. Harnessing algae is an industrial accounting problem. If the energy required to grow, harvest, and process the crop produces more emissions than the algae absorbs, the entire system fails. To solve this, engineers first turn to open raceway ponds. These are shallow, inexpensive outdoor circuits where the water is continuously mixed by paddle wheels. But open ponds have a critical flaw. They are entirely exposed to adverse weather and biological contamination. Microscopic grazers like rotifers and amoebas can infiltrate the water and consume an entire commercial algae crop in as little as 2 days. The alternative is the closed photobioreactor, or PBR. These are engineered enclosed tubular systems that use airlift mechanisms to circulate the algae. PBRs completely block outside contamination. They can even be plugged directly into power plants, bubbling industrial flue gas straight into the tubes, so the algae can absorb those raw CO2 emissions. However, PBRs require immense amounts of electricity to regulate lighting, temperature, and nutrient delivery, driving up costs and threatening the net climate benefits of the operation. The industry found itself caught between a cheap but highly vulnerable open pond system and a secure but prohibitively energy-intensive closed system. The solution to this bottleneck comes in the form of hybrid systems that utilize a 2-stage cultivation process. In the first stage, microalgae grow to high density inside closed photobioreactors. Next, half that culture is transferred to open raceway ponds. Starved of nutrients, they trigger a biological stress response, forcing the cells to accumulate valuable lipids, or oils. To power this entire process without expanding the carbon footprint, researchers developed a framework called ABEXIS, Algae Bioenergy with Carbon Capture and Storage. In this cycle, fast-growing wood like eucalyptus is harvested and burned to generate electricity. But instead of burying the resulting emissions underground, the electricity and the CO2 are fed directly into the algae production facility. Integrating these systems zeroes out the external energy costs, turning industrial-scale algae farming into a net positive reality. This chart maps biomass conversion. Following the chemical processing path to transesterification and hydroprocessing, we see how harvested biomass becomes usable energy. Extracted lipids transform directly into biofuels, resulting in ready-to-use products like biodiesel and green diesel for jet engines. The leftover material doesn't go to waste. As shown on this second diagram outlining algal biomass outputs, the non-lipid components can be routed through fermentation and anaerobic digestion to create high-protein fertilizers, enzymes, and biogas. Modern algae facilities operate exactly like petroleum refineries. They yield the high-density liquid fuels necessary for heavy industry and aviation, but completely bypass the fossil carbon footprint. Beyond microscopic biofuel, large-scale macroalgae, better known as seaweed, offers a highly direct tool for carbon removal. The current strategy proposes cultivating massive offshore seaweed farms, then harvesting that biomass and sinking it straight into the deep ocean. Because deep-water environments have an incredibly slow turnover time, the sunken organic carbon remains locked away from the atmosphere for centuries. The marine algae industry provides a dual capacity. It can actively draw down historical atmospheric carbon through deep-sea sequestration, while simultaneously producing clean replacement fuels for the future. By leveraging their natural response to environmental cycles, these marine organisms can be scaled into a functional biological infrastructure. They offer a tangible method to draw down atmospheric carbon while providing the high-density energy required to decarbonize global shipping and aviation.